What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Alex, the best sports capper on YouTube. And by sports capper, I do not mean I'm capping. I mean, I give you guys the best bets on the tube. And here we are to talk about the Pacers and the Knicks' upcoming Eastern Conference Finals series, which, as you can tell by the title, quite frankly, I see the Knicks winning this one. And despite everyone else saying, oh, this has all the makings of a 7-game series, I don't see it that way. I really think the Knicks should win this thing in 5, and the only thing that's making me say 6 is this team has a tendency to be goofy. They should have ended Detroit in 5, and they didn't. They should have ended Boston in 5, and they didn't. So I'll go ahead and give the Pacers an extra game, but really, this should be a gentleman's sweep. I don't know why everyone thinks this is so close. The Pacers are overrated. I don't care. I know Halliburton's been on a quote-unquote tear since he was rated overrated, the most overrated player in the league, by his own peers, by the way. It's not like this was the media saying this or it was like fans. His own peers rated him as overrated. And they're right. The entire team is overrated. Let's really look at the Pacers' fluke run really quick. Last year, all right, the Pacers got the benefit because everybody wants to go back to, well, the Pacers beat the Knicks last year. Yeah, they beat the Knicks without OG Anunoby. They beat the Knicks without Julius Randle. They beat the Knicks in the last game, in the Game 7 at the Garden. Jalen Brunson broke his hand, like Josh Hart got injured in that game. Like, what are we talking about? And the big key that everyone keeps leaving out when they talk about the Pacers and the Knicks series last year is Mitchell Robinson wasn't there. Mitchell Robinson is one of the most crucial players on the team. You can see the difference in the Knicks since Robinson has been there. All right, if you look at the Knicks versus the Celtics, including Jason Tatum, the Knicks have a winning record against the Celtics since Mitchell Robinson has been there. Remember, one of the last games of the season, it took Boston to overtime to beat the Knicks by like 2. Then they lost 3 of the first 4 games. And I don't want to hear anything about, oh, well, Tatum was hurt. Tatum didn't get hurt until they were already down by 7, and they were going on a steal to go up by 9. There was less than 3 minutes left in the game. They were going to lose that game. They haven't been able to beat the Knicks since Mitchell Robinson has been back. We seen what the Knicks did to Philly last year when the series that, once again, as always, everyone said they were going to lose with Mitchell Robinson, who was effectively making life very difficult for everyone on the Sixers. Okay, so everybody wants to talk about, what happened last year. At the end of the day, the Pacers beat an injured Knicks team last year. And as soon as they ran into a healthy Boston team, they got absolutely destroyed. It wasn't even a series. They got swept. Then Halliburton wanted to fake an injury at the end of the series. It's like, bro, get out of here. They got swept. So then we come back to this year, and then they face the Bucks, who the Bucks just don't match up well with the Pacers anyway. But on top of that, they don't have Damian Lillard. And last year, if I remember correctly, which I'm pretty sure I'm right about, last year, even when they played the Pacers, they didn't have Giannis. So this year, they don't have Damian Lillard. They lose. Then they go and play the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are also chokes. I told you guys way back, right? You can still see the video on this channel that the Cleveland Cavaliers always choke. A Donovan Mitchell-led team's never going to win anything. And you guys didn't want to listen to me because they had the number 1 record in the league. And what happened? They choked. But despite all that, how can the Pacers brag about beating the Cavs when the Cavs didn't have Evan Mobley and they didn't have Darius Garland? Like, they didn't have them for most of the series. So what are we talking about? You could point to the fact like the Pacers blew the Cavs out in that closeout game at home, right? But, Garland and Mobley played in that game. But at the end of the day, Garland wasn't healthy the entire series. Neither was Mobley. And in the game before that, where Mobley and Garland played, they blew the Pacers out in Indiana in a game where they had to win. So we don't know how different that series would have looked if those guys were healthy. Now, I still think the Pacers would have won, but I think it would have went closer to 6 to 7 games for the Pacers to win it. So this, to me, this Pacer run seems just like the run they went on last year, where they got extremely lucky playing banged up teams, and then the first healthy team that they run into is going to run them out of the building. Like, this is what I see happening. Now, let's remove my Knicks fandom from this, right? Let's just remove that. Let's just look at it from a basketball perspective, right? I've been right on every single series in this playoffs, except for I thought that the Lakers were going to beat the Wolves because I didn't anticipate Julius Randle was going to remember he's an all-star and start playing like it in the playoffs. I didn't see that happening, but it did. Okay? Either way, with that being said, I'm going to use the same formula I've been using the entire playoffs, and I've correctly predicted over 80% of the outcomes. And that is simply this. First, you look at who has the best player in the series. Jalen Brunson is better than Tyrese Halliburton. There's no argument that should be had here. There's no debate that should be had here. Jalen Brunson has the most fourth quarter points through 10 playoff games in the last 30 seasons. More than Kobe Bryant, more than Michael Jordan. Jalen Brunson every single year goes in the playoffs and breaks another record, and because he plays for the Knicks and people hate the Knicks, they act like they don't see it. They act like they don't notice it. Right? He goes in the playoffs every single year and puts up numbers that only the greats have put up. We're talking about he gets comparison with the numbers he put up in the playoffs to Michael Jordan's of the world. Right? In terms of points through 8 games, points through 10 games. He gets comparisons to Kobe Bryant's of the world. He gets comparisons to the elite players of the game, LeBron James, because he's the only one with 30 points and 5 assists in 5 straight playoff games, right? But every year he does this, and every year you guys act like you don't notice it. And now we're trying to put this lame, he's a foul hunter thing on him to diminish his greatness. Right? Meanwhile, Halliburton, who's a front runner, who disappears when things aren't going well, and then runs out front and talks trash when his team's actually winning, who let Giannis get all in his dad's face and didn't even do or say anything. He didn't even try to break it up. This is supposed to be the elite player who's better than Brunson. You're crazy. I'm not taking anyone who thinks Halliburton is better than Brunson seriously. Brunson's the best player in this series, and it's not close, right? Then you go to the team's second best player. Now, when I say the team's second best player, I'm not talking about the second best player in the entire series. I'm talking about who's the second option on the team and who has the best second option between the two teams. The Knicks' second option is Karl Anthony Towns. The Pacers' best second option is Pascal Siakam. Anyone who wants to tell me Pascal Siakam is better than Cat is out of their mind, crazy, and I cannot take you serious as a basketball analyst. So Knicks have the best player in the series, and the best player in the series also has the best sidekick in the series. All right? Now, if you're going to ask me who has the best coach, really, this could go either way. It's kind of a wash. I guess I'll give the edge to Rick Carlisle because I do like him as a coach. So we'll give the Pacers that, right? And then that's essentially the only advantage that they have. They don't even have a home court advantage. The Knicks have the home court advantage. So if we just look at this from a pure basketball perspective, there's no real reason outside of Knicks hate to believe that the Pacers are going to win this series. Barring that there's no injuries, nothing happens to the Knicks, they win this series in 5 to 6 games. You guys just need to start accepting the reality that the Knicks are good. Every time they beat somebody, you guys move the goalpost. You guys tried to convince everyone that Cade Cunningham was better than Brunson. That was proved to be foul and should have never even been a conversation. Then you guys said, well, there's no way they're going to beat Boston. And they rocked Boston. They rocked Boston. Should have been a gentleman's sweep. And that was with Tatum. I don't want to hear about the injury that happened at the end of the fourth game that they were losing anyway. I don't want to hear about it, right? Now it's, Halliburton and the Pacers bench and the Pacers depth and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Listen, you're not going to beat Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, right? And Cat with a bunch of no-name players on your bench who just play hard. That's not enough. That's what the Pistons tried to do. And it wasn't enough. Not to mention the Knicks they've played healthy teams. They've had to play all types of series, right? When they were playing Detroit knew they didn't have the talent. So they mucked it up, made it a physical, hard, smash mouth series. The Knicks won. Then they went and played Boston. Boston, the 3-point shooting champions, right? Boston wanted to play more of a finesse game. They played the finesse game with Boston. They mucked that one up because they didn't have as much talent. And guess what? They won. So now they go up against the Pacers. It doesn't matter if the Pacers try to play fast and finesse like Boston or if they try to muck it up like the Pistons did. First of all, they can't do either one as good as either one of the teams that the Knicks have already beaten. But no matter which route they choose to take, the Knicks has already played a team that has tried to take that route, and it hasn't worked. So I just don't understand why, with everything going against the Pacers, anyone would believe, barring an injury, that they're going to win this series outside of just pure Knicks hate. The Knicks are going to the ship. Now, I'm not going to say whether or not they're going to win it because I have to see who they're playing. If somehow Denver is able to beat the Thunder tonight, which I don't think is going to happen, but if they are, that's a scary series for the Knicks because they match up very well. Very, very, very well. If it's the Wolves or it's the Thunder, we got to look at the fact that the Knicks are probably winning the championship. Like, this is the reality of the situation. If it's either one of those two teams, all right? But if it's the Nuggets, that could be a major problem. But I don't even know if Aaron Gordon is playing tonight, so I don't anticipate it'll be the Nuggets. But yeah, I don't need 15 days to tell you guys what's going to happen in this Eastern Conference series. All right, Knicks in 5, really should be 5, probably will be 6 because they mess around too much. I just don't see again, barring injury, I don't see how the Pacers win this series. On a basketball level, on a physicality level, on a momentum level, they have the advantage in nothing. They have no advantage here. So I just don't see it. Either way, you guys can type your thoughts in the comments, even though I know most of them are going to be, hey, you're just a Knicks fan, Alex. I know that's what you guys are going to say. But when it comes true, just don't say I didn't tell you. I am Alex, and I am out. Peace.